Happy Saturday, Facebook Nation, YouTube Nation. This is Sikunachak from Spring Spirit Nation. Today we have guest Harley Knife, and he's just getting onto the stream. Before he comes on, I'd just like to wish a happy anniversary to Wanda and Darren Poorman celebrating their wedding anniversary. Also giving some birthday shout outs to Raylan Carrier, Derek Maurice, Orion Morgan, Jason Ross, and Ahtahkakoop's own Ashley Williams. Happy belated birthday to my son, Nepoel Okamesim. Adding Harley into the stream. Harley, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. One second. Set up my camera.
It's already been set up. I just wanted to bring to your attention a little bit of current news. I'm going to be displaying a hashtag, and there are some things going on in Nova Scotia. So hashtag Mi'kmaq, M-I-K-M-A-Q. If you want to follow what's going on in that part of Canada. And another thing that I thought I would add, and this is my Wi-Fi speed right now, 8.2. It's actually double than what I'm normally used to working with. So here we go. The date is October 17th. Hello, Harley.
Hello. Hello.
So Harley.
Yes.
Harley Knife is a senior animator at Yeti Farm. Harley, I recently viewed a video on YouTube, and the name of the YouTube video is Everyone Belongs in Tech, How a Childhood Love of Cartoons Turned into a Career of Passion. Tell us about the whole statement and the title of the YouTube video.
Yeah, basically, from an early age, I knew that I wanted to be an animator or something along those lines, and I just didn't know what it was as a kid growing up. But I knew there's something like deep inside me that needed to like do something creative. And it just like, it flourished and made its own thing. And it just happened to be animation. And it's been there from the beginning. And I think that's what passion is. Yeah.
Wonderful. So Harley, according to your bio that we posted, can you tell us a little bit about your childhood and what's led you to the life of animation?
Yeah, basically I grew up on Ahtahkakoop Cree Nation under Treaty 6 territory. We jumped around back and forth from like Ahtahkakoop to BC. And basically we just, it was like, it's kind of chaotic jumping around like that. But I found like stability in like the shows and cartoons that I was watching, right? Because there's always like that family unit that was there. And I really attached to that because that's something I really wanted. And kind of just like, yeah, I don't know how to explain that because it's just like being there myself. It's like, it's an experience in itself, right? But yeah, going back to like living on the reserve, it was like, it's very different. Like obviously I'm being in BC and then being on the reserve, it's like, you see these two different worlds, right? I don't know if that's the best way to explain that, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really, really definitely different because out here it's a flatlands prairie. We're gifted with a lake and trees, and right now in BC you're in the mountains.
Yeah, I like to equate it to like a big hug with the mountains just around you the whole time, right? Yeah, and then when you drive across the plains, nice. Sorry.
Oh, I'm just a little curious. What Indigenous tribes are around you? Which Indigenous people?
It's the Okanagan band. I don't know how to say. I can't remember how to say it in their dialect. I don't know how to explain that, but yeah, it's just the Okanagan band. They actually helped me go to school. We can get into that later, but yeah, and then there's farther east, I think, is like farther west is the Coast Salish, I think. I'm like about 5 hours away from Vancouver, so more inland.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I was on Turbo Future. I just Googled animations or useful tips for animations. And they came up with 10. So I'm just going to go through a couple of them and maybe you can speak to them. Helpful tip, according to the Turbo Future, to be an exceptional animator is to be a master at the art of drawing.
Yes, I know. Yes, I know because, sorry if you hear a crying child. Yes, it really, really helps if you want to advance farther into more like design work, and yes, it does really help, but no, because it's more digital now. So basically, I'd like to equate it to I'm like a glorified puppeteer, because now all the drawings are done before you get it. So you're just moving this character around and moving shapes to make the animation. So when it comes to drawing, typically I'm just drawing, like redrawing hands. So if you can get like hands and feet figured out how to draw those really well, that really helps.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That takes us to helpful tip number 2, according to Turbo Future. It says to become a spectator of the world around you. So do you notice yourself observing movements and things like that a lot more?
Yes, definitely. You kind of like stand outside yourself a lot when you get into this world. Specifically with my daughter, I just watch her do things, and I like imagine how that would look animated, and it really helps like broaden your horizon when it comes to animation, because you get a scene that like it's just like a drawing, and you have to figure out how to make that character jump from one side to the other, but it has to look stylish. Watching my daughter like silly jump, you have the idea of how to do it. Yeah.
Okay, takes us to helpful tip number 3. It says refer and look to other great animators' work and accomplishments around you.
Yes, because that helps you look outside of your bubble, because you're inside your bubble, you're only looking at what you're working on, and when you expand it and then invite more things into it, your creativity just like goes through the roof. It's very helpful, and like it's like a much needed thing in animation. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I learned a new word looking at number 4. It says have a demo reel or showcase of your work ready.
Yes.
So what is a demo reel?
So it's just like a highlight reel of all of like what you think your best animation is. And when you're making your demo reel, it's good to like show your demo reel to other animators or people in the industry, because it helps you like pinpoint what actually is your best animation and what could help you land that job. So I have a demo reel, but it's from like 2016, which I really need to update. But yeah.
So it sounds somewhat like a portfolio.
Yes, pretty much.
More techy.
Yeah.
So number 5 is networking. So how does an animator network?
It's actually really cool, because the creative industry, the animation industry, almost every animator really wants to like help out anybody trying to come up in the industry. So even if you just like find them on Twitter, send them a tweet like, hey, I'm trying to get into animation, do you have any like tips or tricks? And 9 times out of 10 they're always willing to help you. They'll send you a link to like an animation book that is really helpful, or they'll just give you tips and help you along the way. That's what I'm trying to do too. That's like, I feel more confident in my skill set to do that now. So yeah. Networking is like
cool. Really number 6. Oops.
No worries.
Yeah, networking, absolutely. Number 6, it says master the technique of animation. That's a given. That's an obvious, right?
Yeah, definitely. I've been in it for 7 years now. I don't have it mastered, and that's okay. The point is to always keep learning and teaching yourself. So like, I don't think you can ever master animation, because there's always something new coming up, but to just try and master it as far as you can.
Mm-hmm. Right. Number 7, it says turn up at the right events at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what events does an animator attend? What types of events?
I think there's animation. There's these things called drink and draws that happen a lot, where like just a bunch of animators or like creative types get together and either go for coffee and like all hang out. You can show up to one of those. They're usually like posted on Facebook and stuff like that. But the other thing too is a lot of companies have like what's the word for it? They like all gather together to like look for more animators because there's lots of jobs coming out for animation, and they need more animators or more build artists, more CG artists and stuff like that. And just like finding these things and going to them and like having your demo reel ready for that.
Right. Number 8, it says don't focus on making money right at the beginning.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I think that attains to when you start out as a junior, the pay is like isn't the best, but like it's a starting wage. And then there's regular animator, and then there's senior animator. And it's like any job really. You start out, and then like the company realizes like what your skill set is, and they help you build into getting farther down the line if you want to do that. And if you want to stay like a regular animator, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, taking us to number 9. It says learn the art of acting. What does acting have to do with animation?
Again, I think it falls back to watching the world around you move, because you steal those tidbits, those little things that really help sell like a piece of animation. For instance, like a kid putting on a shoe, you could just have the kid put the shoe on, but kids don't do that, right? They play with their shoelaces and don't tie it up or anything like that. They like kick their shoe off. And those little things really help sell an animation and make it more lifelike. Yeah.
Cool. It takes us to number 10. I believe you spoke about this or to this already. It says the learning curve for animation never stops.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Again, 7 years in, I'm still learning. And I like that. Once I stop learning something, I feel like for me personally, I could get like bored of it and not try as hard. But the thing for me in animation, there's always something to learn. You could, even if you like get bored of animating, you can always try learn like 3D animation, 3D modeling, 2D building, everything. There's a lot of webs to go down. Yeah.
So are there trends that animators follow, like styles or anything like that?
Yeah. Again, that's like stepping outside yourself and like observing what the animation industry is doing. For instance, there's like this is going to sound really specific, but there's a Disney mouth specifically with like characters. So when you do lip sync, you have to like animate their mouths and stuff, right? But there's like a characteristic, there's a characteristic circle mouth that is going around, and I think about last year it's very popular in like a lot of different animation. There's like a lot of like little things like that are in the industry, and again, that's stepping outside yourself and realizing what the trend is. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to put this up here. Our listeners out there, if you have any questions for Harley, please put them in the comment section and we will come to them periodically. Taking us to, we spoke a little bit about the Ahtahkakoop life, and it was basically coming out here to the prairies and then being hugged by the mountains in Kelowna. You found a home in Kelowna working at Yeti. Is it the correct term, Yeti Animation? Or
Yeti Farm Creative, I think is what they use.
Yeti Farm Creative. Okay, I'm just going to change that banner, but please, before I put it up, tell us about work at Yeti Farm Animation.
Okay. In school, I had met one of the co-founders. He was a teacher at the school that I went to, And we kind of hit it off. And then the class ended, and then it kind of carried on with our lives, kind of thing. And he eventually started the company with his wife, Ashley Ramsey. This is Todd Ramsey. And my best friend, who was working for them, he sent me an email and just said, "Hey, why don't you apply? You went to school, like, just do it," right? So I did. And the owner, Ashley Ramsey, said, "Oh yeah, just come in." And no resume, walked in, talked to her, and I was like, and I mentioned that we met Todd, and I actually met Ashley Ramsey at a one of those social gatherings where creatives get together. And that's how I'd met her, and I didn't know that she was married to Todd, and we just like hit it off there too. So when I saw her that second time, she's like, "Yeah, just come in and we can talk, and we can like get you animating." And that's kind of how it started. And since then, they've like gone out of their way to help me like evolve my craft. It was really hard at the beginning, like really hard. Took a lot of work, but they like really believed in me, and that's really how I've been in the industry for 7 years. Like when you get bosses like that actually care and like help their employees evolve, I think that's the ideal employee or employer. Yeah.
Right. So when I was viewing your YouTube video, the one we talked about at the beginning of the show where everyone belongs in tech, I just seen you walking in your office and I was like, hey, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice for young animators in Saskatchewan? Like where can they branch out here in the prairies, and where can they go?
So I think I have a question for that. Because we have the internet and social media and all that stuff, I don't really feel like people are tied to where they are based. Because now with COVID hitting, all these big companies are having their employees stay at home and work from home. So I think that's really helped like people understand that you can get jobs anywhere now. So my best guess for that would be to just start animating, start doing something like creative and sharing it and tagging people that you think might be interested in that. And like if I were to see something like that on Twitter, I would like definitely retweet that. I would like push that, promote that, because like creativity and like the next generation coming up is like, it's really beautiful, and that's something I really want to push more. Yeah.
That's really good. I have 7 questions I'm just going to fire at you. I didn't prep you for this, and you just answer them. I seen this on a Chappelle show. I just sort of switched up the questions a bit, indigenized them a little. All right, here we go. Here are my 7 questions. What is your favorite Cree word?
Muskwa. It's my favorite. It's my daughter's favorite word. We're teaching her Cree like once a week, because it's like really, because she knows English obviously, but like trying to like get her used to those words. And it's a good learning lesson for me, because being away from the reserve, I lost a lot of that, right? So like Muskwa, Tatosapoi, Sisip, all these things, like they're beautiful for a kid to like understand.
Right. So for viewers out there, Muskwa means bear in the Cree language. Question number 2. What is your favorite animal?
The bear. I have a bear tattoo.
A bear?
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
That's cool.
Yeah. That's my big brother, and that's me.
Question number 3. Oh, who was your favorite teacher growing up?
I thought about that like really hard last night, and it wasn't hard to think about, but it was hard to remember the name, because I've been away from Ahtahkakoop for so long. But she's this like little old lady who ran the social studies class at Ahtahkakoop. I can't remember her name, but it's such a bummer, because I'm losing all these names of people I remember, I can remember the faces, but I can't remember the names, and she's one of them that I want to remember. But yeah.
Awesome to the Ahtahkakoop First Nation for hiring the little lady for the social studies program.
She has a beautiful quote that I'll share later on. But yeah.
Sure. Question the next one. Oh, who is your most admirable Indigenous leader?
Okay. There's Bruce Buffalo. He lives in Alberta. He's a guy that I worked with. He is trying to bring internet and Wi-Fi to reserves across Canada, because it's like it should be a basic necessity to people, and he's like really working on that. He brought internet to his reserve, and he has a company called I can't remember how to say it. Mama Wapit. I'm so bad at this. I can't remember the name of it. I'll find it for you later. But
Bruce Buffalo.
Yeah, Bruce Buffalo. He's actually got a beautiful YouTube story on YouTube. Just look at Bruce Buffalo, and there's this I think it's like a 10-minute story, and it's like about how he lives in rural Alberta and just trying to bring up his community. It's beautiful. And then there's Joe Buffalo, who's a professional skateboarder. My partner actually just reminded me of him because he was a guy that I followed religiously growing up, and then I guess life happened, right? And then my partner was like, "Oh, do you know Joe Buffalo?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I forgot about him." But yeah, he's a professional skateboarder turned actor, and it's beautiful to see those things now.
Awesome. Next question of the 7. What is your favorite type of music?
Ooh. That's tough to put down. I like all types of music, and that's super cliche to say, but I listen to Mumford & Sons, I listen to Bahamas, I listen to Pantera, Lamb of God, and Korn. I did my friend when I lived on the reserve, we did like a stage show where we played Korn. We mimicked the band playing Korn for a whole song, and all the teachers just sat there and supported us, which was really cool. Yeah. That's about it. I can go in deeper.
What? I know I'm eclectic myself. I would answer similarly. What profession other than your own would you like to attend?
So with animation and being creative, you like to absorb as many things as possible. So that's my daughter. So it would be I try to learn as much as I can, and things that I want to learn. So photography right now is something I'm really into, and before that was what was I doing before that? I was getting back into music, but then photography showed up, and I was like, oh, I really want to get into this. And now I'm going to start streaming in hopes to reach a broader audience about being Indigenous and being creative. So.
Okay, now this is a really interesting question. What profession would you not like to participate in?
I got the question. I worked construction, building trusses for houses before I took the dive into being an animator, and it was not enjoyable for me. For me, I'd being creative. It was sucking the life out of me. Just standing there, building stuff. Building stuff's fun. I don't know, not trashing people who build or anything like that. For me personally, it just I have colored fingernails, and my daughter did them for me, and it just doesn't mesh for me. It just wasn't for me. So it would be construction. I have these beautiful little hands that I need to take care of.
Okay, Harley. One of my most favorite parts of the show is inspiration.
Yeah.
Who inspires you? Inspirational quotes. Give it to us.
I wrote this down last night. It would be that teacher. That teacher, because this is something that has stuck with me my whole life, and it's something I think about constantly. She said, so we're all walking in class, walking the hallways, and we come into class, and she's silent. She looks back straight up. She's very stoic. And then she says to us, I see you guys walking the hallways with your heads looking down. And she says, I see you guys walking with your heads held down. And in residential schools, they would make us walk like that. So when you walk these hallways, I want you to walk with your head held high, because you're walking with your ancestors behind your back, holding you up. And it's like when in times when I get like really egotistical, or like getting my head, or like super like bummed out, I think about that, because it brings me back down and like levels me out to like thinking about what I'm moving forward with. That makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, she said it more elegantly. I'm butchering it, but yeah.
I really want to know who this teacher is, because maybe she was my teacher too.
I was in the class with George Saskatchewan, Gordy Urslak, and those are like my two best friends on the reserve that I hung out with the most. But yeah, it was definitely this teacher, because it's such a, being a kid and not like hearing that and to like understand that was one thing, and being an older man with a daughter, it hits different too. Yeah, and I have two other inspirations.
Sure, share them with us.
The other is Chief Ahtahkakoop. Hey, buddy. Chief Ahtahkakoop, and his quote of "Let us not think of ourselves, but let us think of our children's children." I understood that growing up, but again, having a kid and like seeing that quote and understanding like what he had to go through to like actually sign those treaties was like, it hits different, because I see my daughter, and it's like I want her to like have the world. I want her to understand where we come from and how proud we are. Like you should be of your culture, right? And that's been my push as of late, is to really show that like I am Indigenous. I have made it this far, and like I am proud of who I am. And then the third person that inspires me, and this is gonna sound like I'm like catering or cliche, but is your brother. I see that man, and like I think about what I do as like a job, and I'm like, man, I'm like a high functioning man child, which I live by those words. But I see your brother, and I'm like, that's a man. That's like, I see chief and stuff like that, and that makes me want to be chief. I'm like, I want to be chief too. But yeah, he holds himself high, and like I really respect that. It makes me try harder and work harder for the things I want, like the things I want to change.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I'll I'm speechless right now, so I'm gonna just take it in and acknowledge that, and it was very beautiful. And we have a comment here coming from Hazel. Hazel says, "Akamemo Harley, we are super proud of you."
This isn't your mom, is it?
Yeah, it is.
She was my teacher.
She's my number one. She's my number one fan.
She was my teacher, and she was scary because she was confident, and she knew what she wanted to teach in class, and I don't know how she did it, but dealing with emotional kids that are just trying to figure out who they are, I commend her. Like I remember being scared of her, so I wouldn't really try anything, but being in a reserve, and you know, like kids are in reserve, is just hard, man. Hard work. I tell her I miss her. Well, hi.
So Hazel, yes, stern teacher, but you got your stuff in. And I believe that she is that way because she believes in you. She's like, don't mess around. Don't mess around. Let's get this done. I know you can do it mentality. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if
Awesome.
you think about
Thank you, Hazel.
Yeah. If you think about it, she is part of the reason why I'm here. Because like I look back at all these teachers that I had in my life, and they all like attributed something to make me who I am and put me where I am, you know?
Awesome. That's good to hear. Again, if you have any questions for Harley, please post them. If you have any shout outs or anything like that. And as we come to a close here, Harley, is there anything that you would like to share with us that I didn't get to ask, that was at the back of your mind that you really wanted to convey to the audience?
Let me check my notes really quick. Joe Buffalo, Chief Ahtahkakoop, my teacher. It'd probably be, if you're thinking about animation, anybody out there watching this, stop thinking about doing it and start doing it. Put pen to paper. Use your mouse on Google or Microsoft Paint. Start creating. Just start showing off and be proud of what you're doing, because confidence goes a long way, and believing in yourself goes a long way. And I'd like to show some art. Here's something I made.
Yeah.
It's a skateboard. Go that way.
Yeah, cool. What inspired the images on there? Is that like a...
They're native faces. That's what I call them.
Oh.
They're like they say that each artist, when they create something, they put a little bit of themselves in it, and they're like little versions of me, and they're just like, I like to call them native faces, but they're just faces, I guess.
That's super cool. I love the colors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jordan had a good question there.
Okay. Jordan says, ask him when he's going to start his own animation company, and if he's thought about it much.
Yes. So the goal, here's a big goal. This is the biggest goal that I have in my life. I'm not ready for it yet because I don't have the confidence, but I'm getting the confidence. So what I plan on doing is eventually moving back to the reserve, starting an animation company that transitions Indigenous youth that want to learn animation into learning animation and getting them into the industry, and pumping that percentage up. Because right now, less than 1% of Indigenous people work in the tech industry, and I want a higher percentage. And my main goal in life right now is to eventually get an animation studio started on Ahtahkakoop Cree Nation.
I really love that, because we have tons of artists in Ahtahkakoop, and there's a lot of them that right now that could be honing their skills just with just a little bit of a push or someone to talk to. Absolutely. Artists galore here, musicians and artists.
Yeah, like, and that's like something I constantly think about. And if you've talked to me in person and talked about my goals, that's always come up. And that the fact I haven't brought it, I took Jordan to bring it up, is kind of funny, but yeah, that's where I'm at. Also, there's a traveling how do I say it? It's like this guy who makes music goes across Canada, not introducing, but like showing music to Indigenous youth across Canada on reserves. And while he's like visiting these reserves, he's putting together a music video for that specific reserve, and like with the youth, and the youth sing the songs and like rap, and they make their own videos and they post them online. And it's called Nwinwan music, I think.
I've heard of that. Yes.
Yeah, and he's doing amazing things with our people. It's like I've been in touch with him a couple of times, and we were supposed to work on something specifically with me doing animation, but I just got tied up with life and family and work. But yeah, I'll like share the link on my Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. But he's got some great stuff.
Right. So in Ahtahkakoop, your ideal future workplace would be inspiring the youth and getting them into animation.
Yep.
I'm kind of almost scared to ask this, but what would be a minimum startup cost, and what would you require to get going?
I wouldn't even say that's the part where I'm not confident in, because I know getting computers. I'm wondering if I can get computers donated through different companies in the animation industry. And the other thing is the licenses from the animation programs, getting that. There's a lot of like moving parts, but with that, my boss Ashley Ramsey, she started her own company with Todd, and I think I can use them as mentors into making that happen and understanding like the ins and outs of how to do that. I think that's something I'm really thinking more and more about as I get farther in years in the industry.
Maybe in the future, like I'm looking at creating a studio. As like I said, there are tons of musicians out here. Yeah, and that I would just like to start Indigenous podcast school. So maybe we can be neighbors in the building.
Yeah. Or have like a whole building that is dedicated to like creative outlets and tech in the industry, and like introducing them to the broader world, right?
Wonderful.
I think that'd be amazing, to be honest.
So, yeah, George says Ahtahkakoop Cree Animation. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for your comments.
Yeah. What else? Oh, I want to be chief. Like, I think it's not wrong to think any person out there who lives on that reserve to be chief. Like, think about that. And if you want to be that, like, just push to be that inside here and out there. Like, I think having that goal of like wanting to be chief and like changing the things that are around you. Like, you don't, in this documentary, I said, you're not bound by your surroundings, and you're not, that mentality of like thinking you don't deserve things. You don't, I think you deserve to like want to be chief. You deserve to like want things. You're allowed to want more of life. And talk to people. There's always someone willing to listen. Yeah.
Wonderful. Comment from Kimwan. You might know Kimwan. She's a fellow North Ender. It's a part of Ahtahkakoop, the North End, and she says sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Diana Steinhauer. What's animation character or design creation he has worked on and that you are most proud of?
Being Indigenous, I'm constantly proud of everything that I do, because it's like growing up, I never thought I'd be where I am right now. It's just, oh man, it's a trip to like look back on all the shows that I have worked on. I wrote it down a long time ago. Shows I've worked on. I can give you a list of everything I've worked on. I worked on this show called Kawaii Crush, which is the first like animated show I kind of worked on. It was like the show on YouTube has these like cute little like girl things and stuff like that. Then I worked on the show called Rocket Monkeys, which was on, I can't remember what network it was on. But yeah, Rocket Monkeys, Nico Can Dance, Winston Steinberger and Sir Dudley Ding Dong. I wrote a couple episodes for this YouTube show that my boss made called Knobs. So I'm a scriptwriter too now. And when that happened, I worked on Max and Ruby, which was fun. It was really fun. It was just hard to. I don't let my daughter watch that show. Let's just say that. Snack Time, which is there's these like 1 minute shorts that were happening before like movies happened at the theater. One of them was like, not one I did, but like one of them was before like Avengers started, which is pretty cool. The show called Mysticons. This new show called DNAs, And Pete the Cat was the latest thing that I worked on, like latest show that I worked on. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's a cartoon based off of a very popular book called Pete the Cat. And then the last show that I worked on is it was like a 4-episode thing called All That. It was like a live action show that's kind of like SNL for kids on Nickelodeon, but because of COVID, they couldn't go in and film, so they decided to have the characters jump into an animated world, and we did 4 episodes of that. That's the last thing I worked on.
Wow, so that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
I almost want your job. You must meet all kinds of interesting people. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The studio, inside that studio, like what you see in that video, it captures like what it looks like in there, but to actually work in there is like, it's really funny and like fun, because you can get up and go get your coffee and sit at your desk, and everyone has their own little trinkets around their desks, right? So it like helps like build your own characteristic style in that studio.
So we have a few comments here. Hey, hi Harley, it's Rhonda, North Ender, Kayas. Glad to see you're doing great. Keep it up.
Thank you. Yeah.
Then another comment from Shaylin Genero. She says, "I'm proud of you."
It's my sister, my little sister.
Ah, cool. George's back on here with another question. Are you working on your own animation projects for a show or something like that?
Yes, I have a bunch of ideas in here, but there's like 2 things I'm specifically working on. One, I wrote this a script about residential schools, and I based it off a song that I wrote. And I wrote this whole script out from beginning to end, and it's really long, and I'm in the middle of like storyboarding it, but I don't really know how to like. I have the visions of what I want it to look like in my head, but I can't put it to paper right now because it's just something I can't get past. But it's something I'm working on. So I have the script, I have the song, I have the vision board figured out. It's just I can't figure out how to do that part. So that's the next step. And then the other thing was like me and Anthony Masascapo, my brother, we're kind of like think tanking a show, something to work on to like us kids growing up would have liked to watch.
Awesome. Shout out to your brother Anthony Masascapo also. You can't see it right here, but he knew that I was looking for podcast equipment, so I've got a mixer, a Steinberg mixer, and a mic here. Thanks to Anthony, he got me all hooked up. I'm able to have better sound quality for my podcast, so thank you, Anthony, for that. If you're watching,
the local tech guy.
Our local tech, yeah. All right. So Harley, I thank you for giving us a little bit of your time. And indeed, the hype coming up to the days of the show from the point that I posted it on my Facebook page, Spring Spirit Nation. I believe that there was about 1,600 people. That wasn't that long ago, right? It was like a Wednesday night. Yeah. 1,600 people have been reached just by the post alone. So, yeah, wonderful. You're making people proud. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, and again, like I feel like I don't want to give up the feeling that it's about me. Like this is like me talking, but this isn't about me. This is about the next generation. If any kid sees this and like is thinking about animation or thinking about getting into this realm, reach out to me. I'll try to lead you in the right direction or like help you out with just ask me questions. I'm an open book, and a lot of these people in the industry are open books, and I have lots of friends that would like to help out too. So create something.
Right. So potential young Indigenous animators, Harley David is who would you reach out to in Facebook? Do you have a Twitter handle or an Instagram?
Yes, I have Instagram. I have 3 Instagrams. It's kind of ridiculous, but I'm I'm a ridiculous guy. So I have the Instagram title, which is like where I post my personal stuff with like my daughter and like me being a goof. That's just the tiny robot. And then my photography page is the tiny robot travels. And then where I post all my art and animation and things like creatively I'm getting up to, I post that on the tiny robot does art. And then I started streaming on Twitch. I just started Friday, and my Twitch stream name is The Tiny Robot Lives. And then what else do I got here? Twitter. I have a lot of things. My Twitter handle is Tiny Robot Art, and that's where I post like just random things, or I'm like sharing stories. I'm pushing big on the things that are happening in Nova Scotia right now because that is very frustrating to me, and I think we're all allowed to be upset with it, and we are allowed to voice our opinions about it because it matters to us. It should matter to all of Canada. So yeah, that's where I post that stuff.
Right. So thank you, Harley. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
You guys too. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. If you ever want to do part 2, part deux, I think that's how you say it in French. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.